Hello YouTube, and welcome to the channel. My name is Wojciech Piegza, and this is my Intensive Language Training Academy, a place where we focus on everything connected with human communication. And today, what are you doing? I'm filming episode 2. What do you think I'm doing? But that was supposed to be my job. Yeah, but you messed up. How? What did I do? Have you read the emails? People said you look like a hitman or an agent from the Matrix if it were run on Microsoft Vista. That's not a compliment, man. In my defense, I tried to look professional, elegant, and formal. That was the first episode. Lacking energy, too serious, and lifeless. One person literally asked if there had been a threat of this if you smiled even once. That's fair. So you think you can do a better job? I believe I can. Believe, huh? What do you mean by that? I've been training people in various aspects of human communication for the past decade, but also for the last 20 years I've been a language teacher. There are a couple of questions that I always like to ask to allow my students and clients to talk more, and one of them is, what do you mean by that? Then they can clarify their position, they can elaborate on a topic, or simply explain something that was previously misunderstood. That led to countless very deep and meaningful conversations, but also made me realize that there are a couple of words that are incredibly difficult to define, and they're quite confusing, no matter what the language is. Today, we'll focus on two of them. The first one is moral. I bet I know what you're thinking. Come on, Wojtek. There's nothing difficult about the word moral. Simple. This is how it goes. Moral means good. Moral means behaving according to some rules and principles and having some limitations and restrictions on yourself that you never cross. And moral means how people should behave. Cool. But then I have a few questions. What does it mean good? If you're speaking about rules and principles, who wrote them? And who decides how we should behave? If you're saying that this is all relative and it depends on the culture, country, or time, I do not agree. And here's why. Let me give you a simple example of an action. If I pick up a rock and just throw it without hitting absolutely anything, would you consider that action to have anything to do with morality? Probably not. However, if I picked up some rocks and threw them violently at a human baby or a puppy, instinctively you would consider me a douchebag. And rightfully so. But why? Morality and ethics deal with well-being of thinking creatures. An action or statement is moral if it promotes well-being and prevents unnecessary suffering. An action or statement is immoral if it diminishes well-being and advocates unnecessary suffering. An action or statement is amoral if its consequences have no effect on well-being. From here, morality becomes objective and not constrained by social norms, time period, geography, or someone's opinion. Domestic violence, child abuse, or slavery, all of them are, have been, and always will be wrong immoral and evil because they diminish well-being and promote or advocate unnecessary suffering. That's why. One of the best ways to develop a native-like fluency in a foreign language is learning not to translate, but to paraphrase. Understanding how to use definitions and synonyms helps you both express your thoughts and evaluate claims. When someone says to you, "I believe in X," or "I believe X is true," you might react in various ways. You might mildly or strongly disagree, or you might agree and simply say, "Yeah, I believe that too." But the devil is in the details. What if both of you understand the word believe differently? That is why it's always a good idea to ask, "Why do you believe that?" and pay close attention to what happens after the word "because." So what does belief actually mean? Well, it could be defined in proper context in two different ways. When I say, "I believe my team is going to win," I might be trying to express my confidence or levels of certainty based on objective and verifiable facts that my team is awesome. Or hope based on subjective personal feelings and desire for them to win. Usually, in the context of past and present, when we say, "I believe you," what we really mean is, "You have convinced me," or "You have presented me with enough sufficient evidence and reasons for me to hold the same position like you regarding X." People just don't talk like this on a daily basis. It's inconvenient to say, "I accept what you're telling me as true based on sufficient evidence," or "I really hope you're not lying to me right now." Most people just say, "I believe you." Now, the more spectacular the claim, the higher the requirement for evidence should be. For example, if I told you I'm married, you would probably accept that on face value, just seeing this. If I told you I have a dog, you wouldn't have a problem believing that either. But if I said that I have a pet dinosaur in my garden, you would need a lot more than a crappy CGI clip at the end of episode 1. Right? When a perpetually single person says out loud, "I believe that one day I will finally meet my soulmate," they're not reasonably convinced of that, are they? They hope it will happen. And meanwhile, it provides them with feelings of comfort, safety, and optimism. All very valuable, but just like most feelings, unreliable and potentially harmful. "I Believe I Can Fly" is a cool song, but gravity is a real thing, and reality is, simply put, ruthless. One may argue that there is a third usage of belief: to have faith. Good point. But if you paraphrase it as accepting something as true without or contrary to the existing evidence, that will depend on whether you are convinced of this, which would make it a delusion, or you hope it's true, which would be just another version of wishful thinking. You already know what you believe, right? But ask yourself and others, do you really, honestly believe it? And if yes, why? See for yourself how many of your opinions about the world, politics, social issues, or relationships rely on feelings. Because if you have become convinced of something with bad reasons or insufficient evidence, perhaps it would be wise for you to move them from convictions to wishes or delusions, which hopefully you will discard immediately. Once you do that, ask yourself, do you really hope that X is true? Or are you simply afraid to admit being wrong all this time and potential consequences for your professional, personal, and private life if you chose to reevaluate your position? Something to think about. Did you feed Rufus?
No, not yet.
Useless. You're absolutely useless. So you're stealing now, huh? Is stealing moral? Of course it isn't. What's stealing? What are you talking about? Well, I don't know if you have heard of Ryan George, Screen Rant, and pitch meetings. Yeah, listen, I don't know if Ryan invented the concept, but he's definitely the best at it. And I'm not going to compete with him. In this, that's not what I do. And this is probably just a one-time thing, like a cool way of addressing constructive criticism from friends and associates. So you believe this is going to work? Do you mind? Thank you, Thor. And thank you for watching. If you found it valuable, please share. If you want some more, subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.